A longtime lovely viewer on the channel, Alexia, left a comment on my February horoscope video that really stopped me. She said, "I think I was unconsciously waiting for this video from you. The Aries in you finally comes out." And when I read that, it hit me, but in a really good way. Because it got me thinking about something I think that we don't talk about enough. So welcome to the channel, or welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Stella Wilde, and we're going to get into this very important topic. There are seasons of life that absolutely can drain you so deeply that it feels like you're losing yourself. But I don't think that's what actually is going on. You're still showing up in the world as yourself. You still are yourself. But in those draining seasons, sometimes all you can do is survive. Because your life force energy has burned down to one last little ember in the fireplace of your heart. And I realized something about myself through Alexia's comment. You know, I didn't lose my spark. My Aries fire didn't disappear, but life almost took it in a very hard season. And with today's full moon in Leo, heart-centered, fire sign moon, it felt like the right moment to talk about this. To talk about your inner flame and how even when it's just a tiny ember left within you, you know what? It can catch light again. Have you ever felt like that? Like you're still you, but the energy to be yourself isn't there. If you're feeling that vibe right now, you're not alone. Let's discuss. I don't think this is just a me thing. I think a lot of people mistake exhaustion for losing themselves. We tell ourselves a story that we've changed, that we've dimmed, that we've somehow drifted away from who we really are. But maybe the reality is we have been running on empty. So I want to talk about the difference between losing yourself and being in survival mode. And I'm curious, when you look back at the last few years of your life, do you see transformation or do you see endurance? I mean, it could be a little of both. But we know, I've made several videos recently here on the channel about, and especially Neptune and Pisces, and the things that we have basically been enduring. And when you're in a season of survival and endurance, the energy plummets, right? You do not have enough energy to really do other things. And it can feel like, yes, you're losing yourself, the things you used to do, the things you used to love. So when we're in survival mode and we don't have extra energy to burn, we tend to, conserve energy. We tend to do the safe and known things because we are evaluating the energetic cost of everything. So in survival mode, we often get into very basic, simple habits and routines that don't require too much of us because we don't have it to give. And this is not you being inauthentic or being a failure, or me either for that matter. It's just the reality of energy when you're in that type of survival mode. I think a lot of us have been very hard on ourselves for things that were simply necessary as a means of self-preservation, especially with, yes, I'll mention it again, the Neptune and Pisces transit, when many of us were going through deep emotional stuff and, figuratively speaking, felt like we were drowning. We kept getting pulled under by lots of emotions and emotional situations that we had to process through, and it required a lot of bandwidth. I call it the season of tears and grief, and also with Saturn in there the last 3 years. It's been a very draining of our life force energy. And you could feel like, God, why am I not myself? Why don't I have the vim and vigor for the things I used to do? What's wrong with me? Like, am I a fraud or something? No, you're not. So let me tell you a little bit about my story, my situation, and also, why Alexia's comment really excited me. Because you may have seen there have been changes on this channel in the way I am doing some content. And that is not random or accidental. Not at all. So when I started this channel back in 2018, I really focused in on tarot. I was kind of seeing what else was going on YouTube in the tarot space. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is the way you do the thing. And I've always loved astrology. In fact, astrology was my first love when I was 12 years old. And then I got to tarot later in my 20s. But, I've always loved both, always. And with a 6th house Gemini and 5th house Gemini, of course, I'm going to love always two things, right? Okay, so I started the channel. I really focused in on that. But the feces really hit the rotating oscillator, so to speak, in November of 2021. And that set off literally a 4.5 year long process of dealing with 4 different moves, downsizing a home, moving abruptly, dealing with downsizing my father's home, dealing with his dementia, getting him in a place where he was safe and settled, helping out with his care, trying to still maintain my channel, trying to adjust to a new place where I was living that I did not like, trying to just deal with life in general, as we all do. Then also having to deal with the death of Ariel, my cat, which you may remember her if you're a longtime OG viewer, and then dealing with the death of my father. So there were multiple things going on. And at times, yes, it felt like I was freaking drowning emotionally. I'm going to be totally honest with you. And as somebody, I have water in my chart. I have water, earth, and fire. I have one planet in air. So, water energy is not a stranger to me or anything, but the way that it was showing up in my life of constant emotional undertow and just things that kept feeling like they were pulling me under. And my fire energy, just felt like, oh my God, I don't feel like myself. And it wasn't that I wasn't myself. I was still myself, but I had no energy. I had no fire. I had no spark, or rather it was down to this big in the fireplace in my heart. It was so tiny. But that's how I had to live my life at the time. And I don't beat myself up for it. Of course not. But it was the reality. And when I made the decision to move last summer and, kind of, again, another move, get back to a semblance of feeling like myself again, it felt very strange to go back to the old ways of how I was doing things, how I was doing content on this channel as an example. I loved Alexia's comment because it felt like, yeah, you know what? The Aries in me is finally able to come out. My fire is back. It almost went out during the trials and tribulations that I just detailed to you. And that was difficult, because it really felt like I wasn't myself. So I think it's really important to remember that, if you're going through something similar, it's not that we lose ourselves. It's like we're losing the capacity because we only have so much bandwidth to deal with life. And the thing is, too, it's like your fire doesn't come roaring back all at once, usually. It can take a little while for the flame to catch again. Especially after the very difficult seasons many of us have been through. As I know from reading your comments, as you know from me sharing my own story, my Neptune and Pisces video you may have seen, my what am I doing with my life video that you may have seen also. With this full moon in Leo, I think it is a time to examine your heart space, the fireplace of your heart. What is the quality of the fire that's going on there right now? Are you just coming back into a little bit of a spark that is there, that is beginning to catch fire again? Are you feeling like, yeah, it's really catching catching some ignition right now? It's starting to build. I'm excited. Or are you still a little bit in the recovery mode where there's a few embers, sparking, but not quite catching a flame yet? And that's okay too. Because sometimes you really have to recover your energy before you can expect more of yourself, before you can reinvent yourself even. So yeah, I mean, it's not that I wasn't authentic in the 4 years that I was behind the scenes dealing with a lot of stuff. I was authentic. I was myself. But I didn't have the bandwidth or capacity to create as much as I wanted to create, to try new things, because really, when you're in a survival mode like that, you want the steady thing. You want the thing that is consistent. You don't have usually the bandwidth to do something that is different because it's risky. And when you already have so many other things that are going on in the background that are you just don't know if the rug is going to be pulled out from under you. When you're managing a lot of chaos, that's a better way to say it. When you're managing a lot of chaos from behind the scenes, whatever you're doing here, and especially for your work, I mean, this is my work, you want it to be stable and consistent. So taking risks with it is not something that you have the energy or tolerance for, because you're dealing with so much uncertainty behind the scenes. So that is why now that I am on the other side of a lot of these things, how I am showing up in public, is going to be different. And it's not necessarily like taking creative risks. I mean, it is a little bit, because I've been doing some vlogs that you may have seen and things like that, but it's time to nurture my inner flame. It's time for me to create more. This is very Leo. This is very full moon in Leo, looking at what and how you need to feel the fire and the flame within to make your life nurture your heart space. And for me, for 4 years, really, I didn't have that luxury to the point that I would want to have it. With the fire coming back in my heart, with my Aries energy feeling a lot more reinvigorated, being able to focus now on the things that really matter to me personally. Not that those other things didn't. I mean, they did. No regrets, as I've said before in other videos. It was a lot. It needed to be done. But now I have the energy to take creative risks, to try new and different things. Still as myself, of course, but yes, you may see the new and improved self in the sense that my fire is at full flame, when before it was struggling a bit. Maybe, again, I did my good Capricorn rising thing and showed my stoic face in the years between 2021 and I would say till the summer of 2025. But also, now that the flame is back, how I express myself on this channel needs to change, or it needs to just accentuate the fire. Again, it's not that I'm changing who I am, but it's accentuating the fire. So I would love to hear in the comments, what is the state of your heart flame? Where are you at right now in the cycle of life? We are getting ready to be in the year of the fire horse. Neptune's already in Aries. Saturn's going into Aries. June 30th, we will have Jupiter going into Leo. This is a lot of fire that is getting ready to burst onto the scene for us. So again, you do not need to have a raging fire all in one go, but how are you going to use these energies and start getting your inner flame back and igniting and helping you create things that are aligned and also out of creative fire energy of new life, new beginnings for yourself? I would also like to hear how my own story may have sparked some thoughts for you, similar to how Alexia's comment got me thinking about my journey and how I'm on the other side with the flame burning bright. Love you guys. Take care. I will see you again soon. Stella Wilde, signing out.